Hello everyone, I'm your host MX2, and in this video I'll be going over the workflow I used in modeling this piece that I saw in a video game I was playing this morning. Every now and then I will see a part in a game that will just make me just have to stop and just stare at the screen and really examine what's going on with it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in and go over the graph that created this particular part, or at least my take on how I would go about making it using geometry nodes. So earlier this morning I was playing Lies of P, which is a game where you're a puppet fighting other puppets, and I was swinging this weapon you see on screen and beating other puppets to death. And I just really stopped and looked at it. In this day and age of 4K graphics, the resolution that you see on hand props is just astounding, right? These things used to be blurs, but what am I beating these people with, right? And I thought, wow, what an interesting shape. It would be fun to maybe attempt to make it in geometry nodes. So let's go ahead and give that a try. So we will jump over to the geometry nodes window. Let me make sure my screencast keys is working. Excellent. And I'm going to turn the outliner. Maybe we'll split the outliner. I can't just take the outliner away. I'm not a barbarian, but we can turn this into an image editor, and I will drag over the video, and now we have a reference to just kind of look at this video. I just literally use my phone, which phones record really good now too, right? So this I thought was a fun mental exercise to just kind of go over things, and really it's super basic, so I shouldn't even struggle, right? So let's go ahead and get into this. So I'm going to just create a new graph, and we really don't need the input, and for this I'm just going to bring up a curved line. And the fun thing about nodes is thinking about them when you're not messing with nodes. Mesh to curve, maybe not that, we want curve to mesh. I was a bit stroked out there for a moment, and we will duplicate our curve line and connect it here. And we see it, we have nothing, and that's because we're extruding it on the Z in addition to basically having a curve going up on the Z, so it just doesn't make any sense. If we bring this out, we now see that we're extruding our curve on the X. And all I can say is I've just been watching way too many geometry node videos, so that's what I have to thank for any progress in this field in regards to myself, because it's hard to learn things. What I want to do from here is use a combine XYZ, and we'll go ahead and put in our value on the positive side, and let's just go ahead and use the input early, and from that same input we'll use a math and multiply by -1, and if we connect this to the start, we now have the ability to extrude this both ways. So we just want a equidistant extrusion, and that will certainly give us that result. So let us continue. This is just our humble little nodes, nothing really to talk about here. In fact, for this thing there's not really a lot to go about with that one either, except we do want to put a resample curves in here. And that will allow us to, if we Alt V and using hard ops and we bring up the wireframe, we can look at how many points we are resampling on. Also it shows in our spreadsheet, but we can now see it visually in the form of a wireframe. Or you can go up here and find the option here. But sometimes too much reading, but that's just me. I'm going to drag this out and just type in input. Not able to type today, and now we have count involved. So for this I've been into lowercase spelling, lowercase typing on things. I don't know, this is my lowercase era. Nothing major, just I'm trying to do the thing where you hold control and then use the middle mouse button to make it smaller, but if we make it too small it gets a little weird for you guys, right? So we're just having fun here. Continuing on. So this section is where we are basically making our curve. We don't need to start labeling things yet, but you know, I do want to become one of those labeler guys. We'll go with a circle. Doesn't matter, mesh or curve. And we could change this to like 24. And let's do a instance on points. And so basically this is the instance, these are the points, and now we have this instance on the circle, which we can adjust the radius of, and we can adjust the count of. Really easy. And let's go ahead and connect that to the input. We'll call that rounds, and we'll control H on this so we can see more, and we'll call this distance. So we are slowly adding parameters. I did this earlier, and after a bit of a trial and error, a large amount of trial and error, you know, pretty much spent my whole morning messing with this. I am now here messing with it with you guys. So from here, we want to rotate these to have them face the right direction. So I'm going to drag this out and use a vector rotate, or I would assume this one's it, but it's not. Align rotation vector, and then for the vector we just want to plug in the normal, and we see that it's not working until we change it to the Y. And now when we lower the rounds and we adjust our distance, we see that we are beginning to get that shape right that we're going for. The other thing too is if we want to adjust the size of things, we can, you know, start to do something with the Z here. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to combine. I forget sometimes which one it is that I want, and we'll leave it at 1 for the default. We'll connect it to the input, and this is the Z, and this will just be the I mean, I don't even know what to call it. It is the Z. Sometimes you gotta Z all you can Z, right? Sorry. Not sorry. I will make even worse jokes over the course of this video. But continuing on, you know, you win some, you lose some. Let's just set this to 1. All right, I'm getting pedantic over here. So we have our X size where we can scale this out. I mean, we could literally reform our cylinder, rejoin things together, and just get weird. But now comes the next part, which is how do we twist this, right? So we have our foundation over here. We have what creates this ring, and we still don't need to box it up yet because these are our nodes. We know what's going on here. So I'm going to now set position, and this one was one of my favorite parts to figure out because I know that there's 100 other ways that this could have been done, and I did it in the hackiest way. Alright, I appear to be receiving a video call. And the reason that these are rotating so badly is because we need to realize their instances. Like, we need to realize them. Alright, and we see that now we are rotating it like so. So previously I wanted to do it along the index, and I saw that that did not work out the way that I wanted it to. And an even better idea was to actually have it happen along this, but based on the Z being separated from the position. And so we will go ahead and do that now. And if we connect that, we see that we get this as our result. In fact, we can bring down a math node, connect it here, plug up a multiply, and I don't have to get all crazy with the matrix this time, right? I make it. I happen to make it, and I know there's so many other ways this could be made. I tried it also with a cylinder. I took a cylinder and skewed a cylinder and tore it apart as well. So there's all sorts of ways that this could be approached, but I'm just showing the way that, you know, my brain worked whenever it came to going for this, right? So nothing revolutionary here. In fact, it kind of goes to show that I am truly a caveman in my approaches to things. Like ooga ooga, beat it with a stick. If I had my whoopee cushion, I would also let out a fart, something else I guess a caveman would do, just to be funny. Alright, so continuing on. I want to place a cylinder on top of this cylinder. Alright, so let's bring in a join, because we are joining geometry. And what are we joining? We are joining a cylinder. And this cylinder is going to have a story to tell. It truly will. And I haven't looked at the weapon over here for a moment. I mean, I didn't notice the complexity of the extrusions, but you know, maybe we should swing for the fences. Bada swing, right? If we're going to aim, might as well swing for the fences. And I think the distance and the radius are connected intrinsically, just because they're both at 1, and it just feels right. Alright, so let's just connect them up, and let's just see how that works. And that's good. It could be better. So let's math it and add just a little bit of extra to this, so that way it always is on the outside. So we're getting something like that, and then, you know, we're just bringing it back out, just having a little fun with this while we're getting started. I mean, we haven't even started placing this thing yet. This is placed neutrally. So with our object at this rotated state, I want to start getting some statistics. And by statistics, I mean an attribute statistics. I love this big ass node. Alright, there's a lot of big ass nodes that used to scare me, but this node is your friend, truly. Like, we bring out the min and the max is like here and here, just like bounding box, right, with the mean being in the middle. So if we just take this and we separate XYZ, and we just get the Z, and we combine XYZ on the Z, not the X, we basically have the ability to place this cylinder wherever we need to place it. So I am going to bring up a transform geometry. Probably not the right one, but you live and you learn, right? So I'm just going to translate it, and now we have this placed here. So no matter what happens with the Z, no matter what we do with the Z, I mean, this thing's kind of crazy when you look at it. I mean, and keep in mind, we're just experimenting with, like, looking at this asset from this video game, right? Like, this is nothing serious. We're just having fun, guys. Alright, so we have it up top, and just know we can put it down below. We could put it 6 feet deep. Not even 6 feet. We could put it 2 blender units deep. So from here, let us continue on with our efforts. And really, I should show out, right? I should show out for this video. So what I'm going to do is, I want to just get rid of the end-on face, but I know I need to do some crazy extrusion stuff to it. And so for this part here, I'm just going to freestyle it, right? So extrude is like weird. I mean, just weird to me, because I still don't get it quite fully yet. I know I'm a dummy, but you know, we're just going to plug in our selection, and we have this offset on the sides. We're going to set this to 0. I'm going to change this to single axes. Oh wait, that option's not here. If we scale elements though, scale elements has the ability for us to plug that same selection in, and we could change it from uniform to single axes, and that's X, Y, and Z. So we change Z to 1, and now you can see that I'm extruding that in, and we're just trying to create that extrusion that we're looking at there. In fact, if I were to accurately do it, right, like let's say I'm trying to not suck in this video, because it's easy to suck and just run out and just be a loser, right, and just cry. Instead, we got to do more. So let us bring this in, and we're just scaling this down. And let's take a look at what our masks are looking like. So that's one of our masks. That's another one of our masks. And then we get to here, and we have those two. And we have that mask. So, you know, really playing games here with fate. Who knows if we'll win. Let's pull this. And congratulations. You did it. You did it. You managed to turn this into a triple extrude situation, which I didn't even attempt initially. I'm going to swing for the fences this time. So we're going to go further than I did in the initial setup. In fact, I got to take off my jacket because it's getting very hot. I'm getting a sweat. I'm wearing a Tetris robe, as always. So, not because I'm a Tetris champion. I'm totally not. I get my butt beat all the time by people whose names are unpronounceable. But continuing on, we want to now do the extrusions that, you know, kind of give us this thing. So let's attempt that. You know, if we look at the object as a whole, that is it. And we're talking about extruding into the thing. So we probably need to add just to push it out. And from here, we will extrude. And we want to look at it at the very end, but see if we still have the information from the beginning. And sweet diggity dog, we do. So plug it in there. You know, I won't ask any questions. Maybe a few. Who are you? Why are you in my house? So let us scale elements, and we're just managing this. You know, we could be extruding it, but we want to bring it in. We want to scale it. We're civilized, right? Which means we want to. God, there's a lot of extrudes, right? You know, don't tell people how I live. Extruding like a madman. You know, guess what my favorite command is? Just kidding. So right here, I want to bring this out to a reroute and then a delete geometry, and we want to delete basically everything that isn't that. So let's boolean alright, so we managed to get that, and then we can remove the other face too. So something like this, where we plug the top face in. You're probably like, what are you doing? And what I'm trying to do is actually ooh, that did not work out. See, I was thinking I could like delete the top like that, but what I'm gonna have to do is neighbors, and we'll do face count, and let's do a compare, and let's do greater than, and basically if it's greater than 3, just delete it. If the face count alright, why is this not working? Let's look at our result here. Okay, and now I have the ring. So basically the goal was to get just the ring. There's probably other ways to do that, but we will come back to what we've done here in just a moment. Just continuing on here. So really we're still working on this piece. We'll need that ring in just a moment when it comes to instancing, but we want to instance it in this area and not anywhere else. We'll probably need to revisit that still. So continuing on, let's extrude, but let's do nothing with our extrude, right? We have all that talent of extrusion, we do nothing with our power. We go over here, we grab the scale, we're scaling our extrusion once again. And then finally, there's no finally, alright. And finally we have something like that. Hey, you gotta finally end it, right? And something like that we probably also want to do to the base, but that was a bit much to do. So let's go ahead and do it, and I will put all of that inside of a group, just because maybe inside of a group. You know, do I need to put it inside of a group? Is it worth hiding in a group? No, we want this just showing. So let's extrude, and we're grabbing the bottom this time. We are scaling it. Someday I'm going to have a proper inset. Sometimes whenever I'm away for a bit, it's because I'm like trying to work on something too ambitious and I end up destroying myself. But yeah, I want to make a good inset, and so that's been like a super big struggle. Like an inset would be very nice to have in geometry notes, because then I would truly be able to model. I mean, I'm not trying to model, but you know, the more complex of a model I can make in this thing, like the more fun I can have, right? Like I'm just trying to have a little fun. So how do we want to do this? I am going to just adjust the amount that we add to it one more time, so we have something like that happening. Of course we want to probably stretch this a little bit up to Z, and we could also put this at the bottom without all this effort. You know, we're just having fun with extrusions. You know, extrusion is the only tool we got, so we just have to make the best of it, right? Like this is like my modeling stack. Don't even be afraid of these notes. It's just extrude, scale, extrude, scale, extrude, scale, extrude, scale. All right. Let's grab this, transform, but we want to transform it according to the minimum. So let's just get our minimum, and we connect it all the way down here at the other side. So we have one that's being placed before all the operations. Hey, when I receive a message from Chromecast, which I don't use by the way, I always think they're going to talk to me about the Dreamcast. It's like, hey, we got that Dreamcast. It's like, oh snap. So what if we don't transform it? Is that what I... Okay, so I have to deal with it double work. Alright, so let's get rid of that. And we have one that's being placed there. And we want to have another one being placed in a different position. So let's bring that here. And we will just connect this one to translation. And so we have one up top, one down below. Of course, one will need to be rotated 180 degrees, so it's not what we would call re-re. Alright. And you know, these feel like they are a little too embedded, right, as cylinders, but maybe that isn't something I should be asking right now. But as I add more spans to this, I am quite proud of the results so far, because once we put the things on the side, it will start to make more sense. We're just having a little fun with this node graph. In fact, I would consider this a basic kind of modeling thing. I've been trying to model with nodes and integrate nodes into my modeling. That's why the robot foot video is just kind of cut off, is because I didn't want to showcase how I've been trying to bring modeling into nodes too, but that's important too. So right here we have a ring, and on this ring we want to instance on points. I'm the worst at making node graphs. I gotta work on my ability to make readable node graphs. So let's just stop cold turkey, right? I don't have to suck. Alright. What happened here? You know, we put these nodes down. These are our nodes. What did these nodes do? Tell me. You know, this is how I talk to my cat, by the way. You know, I ask her, I'm like, whose is this? You know, it's her spring, but I take certain springs for myself, right? Like, I gotta have certain springs, like it's my cut for having a cat. So we'll go with a curve line here, and then this instances to the points. This is the area that we'll control J, F2, and call this rotation area. You know, I know, not the best names. This area is like the origin, like the origin grabbing area, or yeah, this is the area where we're setting the origins, right? And then this area is not defined yet, but this area is. So we'll select all of these, and let's just control J, and we'll just call this making. I was gonna call it making the band as Diddy joke, but we can't make Diddy jokes anymore, can we? Making the part. You know, it's way less serious than that looks. It looks kind of serious. It's not. It's just a bunch of identical nudes. So over here, this is our initial cylinder. Some parts kind of don't need explanation, do they? Like, this is our double transforms, and this is the area we're now working on. So back to work with us. I want to put a UV sphere, and let's just give it 16, and I want to delete half of it. So how do you delete half of your objects? I think these are philosophical questions that I would just ask. If I was in a room with a bunch of node experts, I'd be like, how do you delete half of a UV sphere? And you know, my answer would be this one, where you basically use a dot product and a normal, and you just put in 1 or -1 on the axis that you want to cut, and you know, it just works like that. I mean, to quote the great late and great Fonz, well, I don't think he's late. I think Winkler's still around. Winkler's still around, in case you haven't watched Barry. So what we want to do here is instance on points. These are our points. These are our instances. This is our result. I don't like that result, so we'll need to lower the radius. And let us also get the origin correct. So align vector, and our vector is the normal. And the fact that that even works, sometimes I see in videos people experiencing bugs with it where they want to do it other ways, and I'm just glad every time that I survive. It's like, thank you. Even though it feels like that rotation is just slightly off. So let us go here and do a merge by distance. Alright, and we're just double checking our circle, which has 32 spans, 0 to 32, which gives us these instances. So let's just go back to our join and pretend like nothing weird's happening, except we do need to duplicate this and plug this into it, and that will place them there. And we'll just use a second join for this, just in case, you know, that first join doesn't join. Just doesn't mesh, just kidding. Little meshing humor. And I want to try fixing the translation before we do the 180 flip for this, right? So if we take this node and we Control Shift D to duplicate it, and we clone this connection into this node, and we connect both of them, we should have this also in the exact same place that we need it. Except I'm not liking how it's rotated. And I'm wondering if I could just make it. Hey, you just can't not make a "that's what she said" joke, right? But I am going to have to make it deeper. Alright, and let's scale it up a little bit. And we can always get in and adjust how many rounds this cylinder has in case we need it to be less. So we're just experimenting with it, but alright, so these rotations are just looking a little crazy to me. I'm gonna have to check into that because it just can't stand. These things are rotating like Marine. It's I want to make a Marine Ponderosa reference. But yeah, they're rotated badly. So we are definitely cooking with gas. I will come back to that. But this section here of chaos isn't so chaotic because we put these nodes here. So we know what they do, right? We take a UV sphere, we turn it into, we decimate it, which I love that word, just because of its Latin origin. But yes, we are reducing the object, and then from here, just transforming it slightly, and then instancing it. So we can take this whole area and just call it circle or half sphere. And luckily it kept that on the outside, and yeah, we can keep things honest here. So we do want to adjust our segments on the fly. So let's bring that out and go to the input. So we now have segments. And these are sphere segments. And that's what we have so far. So let's get in and take a look at this. So we're able to adjust our X-size, our vert count. We're able to adjust the amount of rounds that happens, the distance, and then the Z, and then of course the sphere segment amount. So we are making good progress on this thing. We of course want to give thickness to these, and then we can start talking about wrapping things up. Sorry to take so long, guys. Alright, so we have these things, and I just want to just take those and extrude them in a very emotional way, pretty much like that. In fact, let's look at our face orientation, and so far so good. Let's do a join, and we'll join the original mesh on top, which will give us that. But you know, there's always the odd man in these situations that requires to have its normals flipped, and then of course we want to follow that with a merge by distance, so that way this geometry knows that we are not goofing around. So now we go back to the end, all the way to the end. We turn off face orientation and we look at this and you say zounds, and I say zounds. Who says zounds, bro? Alright, so after that small discussion about the origin and the reason that zounds was used, we get in here and we decide that we need to fix our extrusion. So we're going to drag this out, connect this to our group input, and we'll just call this strip thickness. And I have this kind of system set up to be reused as like kind of a solidify in geometry nodes. Like geometry nodes has been a modeling adventure of me just kind of rediscovering everything once again, but this time in the form of nodes. So from here, let us smooth this and get it shaded. So I'm going to shade smooth. And I want to go back and rewatch my previous videos where there was one where I was actually clueless about auto smooth, and I don't know how I survived the video, but I didn't understand how auto smooth worked, but I somehow survived the video, and that is magical. Let's do a compare, and we'll do greater than. If you don't like your node sliding like that, let's press F4, bring up our preferences. Let's jump over to, I believe it's theme. And if we go to the node editor, or wait, no, sorry. It's here, node editor, offset, auto offset. So if you don't want auto offset, you can uncheck that, and then now, boop, it just goes. Like, I ripped this node out, I put this in, no more offset. You know, in case that's like been something that's agonized you for years, because I was watching a video and someone brought it up, and just to point it out for those who don't know, doesn't matter. Change this to less than. One of these options is making a fool out of us. We'll turn off our shading just for a moment, and let's make sure no instances are had here. So realize all instances, so everything's real, all geos real, all bets are off, and this is our shaded result. So I basically have shown you the workflow for getting in here and creating this shape. You know, I shouldn't be able to take it to 1, so let's go to this and locate vert count, and we want the lowest count to be 3. So there, we can take it to 3. We can take it up to let's say 64. You know, let's not get too weird with our vert count, but if we need to, we can reduce it, we can go up, and this thing is assembled for us. So really proud of this. Was able to do it on video within 40 minutes. Not too bad. And so we want to make a few more edits on this. And you're like, oh brother. No, I'm kidding. But let's say I want to make a few more edits on this. Well, this is the junction point at which everything starts getting transformed, right? So that means we can start making some changes here and just get on in that. So I really feel like there's a hole on the inside, so I just want to do that. Let's press Alt P to get this outside of this container, and now that we have this, we will connect the top, which the top is that. You know, when we're here, what is the top? They're like, I don't know. Willie don't know and Willie don't care. If I may make a Simpsons joke. We'll bring this out, scale elements. We'll connect this here. And for our extrude, we'll just minimize that. So we're just bringing this in and then performing an extrude to finally bring that down. Something like that, right? So we also want to pass this data to like the bevel, right? Because the bevel will level up this asset and make things look good. Because right now it's like kind of generic, right? We'd have to use like the bevel shader with cycles or something. But we now have this hole happening up here. So now things are looking pretty good, right? So let's say we wanted to bevel this, but we want to bevel it based off of our calculation of like hard angles, or hard angle. We can use the same system. If you're wondering about unsigned angle and this thing, it's because I'm working in the form of radians, and if we change this to degrees or to radians, here's our degrees, right? So we could say like 30 degrees is what we want, and it will convert it to the value of, say, the radian. So let's set it to 60. We see that it was 1.04 now, so closer to what we had. So that's probably a little bit more logical. In fact, let's put this input, and we'll just call this auto smooth. And we could even have this transfer information for the bevel to accurately bevel. So let's do named attribute. Not that named attribute. We want to do store named attribute. And I need to use more node wrangler. I see some advanced features in it that are things that I complain about. So this is called sharp edge. We want crease edge. That's how I remember it. Let's try it again. Crease underscore edge. We want to set it to 1. And we want to set this to whichever ones are not. Is that right? Let's try it. We'll set it to not. And after this modifier, let's press Q and we'll add a bevel. And with our bevel, let's press L and we'll change our limit method to weight. And with that, now we are cooking. So we need this to actually pass the right data. Let's mute this. Let's make sure that it is crease. Sometimes I'm wrong. Let's control. I'm just gonna, let's see, Shift E, set this to 1, and we're just gonna look at its attributes. Its attributes. All right, and so it is crease edge. All right, I have to be more confident in myself. No, I'm not wrong. Maybe I am. All right, bevel weight edge. And we set that to not, and we see now that we are beveling only the areas that are being marked by this modifier. And how do we know that, right? How can we prove that? Well, we can set up a switch to make this not happen. In fact, I think a float switch will do. I was going to do a switch for the geometry, but that's probably like more computationally more expensive, right? So if we do a switch that's on the float, then we can say that 1 is true, 1 is true, 0 is false, and we go to the input, and we could say something cute like bevel weight. And so now we have it where, at the end of the asset, it basically gives it bevel weight, adding to the modifier stack on the subsequent mods for this. So I could also be going over to shape in the middle, which is like some sort of wisp, but I'm not even sure what it is. Also, I would model the rest of this part, but if we just let it play, if we ask Blender, why didn't that play? Blender says, I am not set up for it. Alright, now we are. I love looking at videos playing Blender. I remember a time when that was not a thing, and now it is very much a thing. In fact, we're looking at it and the thing is spinning, right? Like ours doesn't spin. We can make it spin. Who asked for it to spin? I'll make it spin. Just kidding. But we'll go here. We'll separate the XYZ. We'll combine the XYZ. Sorry, my mistake. And we have this. So what I want to do is just put that on a time. And so now we're also rotating every second. And we could dictate how fast that is with math. I mean, I'm using the most basic math because ooga ooga, but that's fine. Your math skills might be better than ooga ooga level. So, you know, in that case, you know, ooga as hard as you got it, ooga ooga. So let's go with input, and we'll just put a speed multiplier here. And let's also put that above the shading stuff. So the shading stuff is just kind of at the end, but we can always increase our rotation speed if we need this to like really just get moving. Like now it's like a barbershop pole. But the weapon in the game, I was just staring at it, and you know, I try to do that every chance I can, just like admire an asset, and then if I can, you know, get in and just give it a quick little model, give it a little study to just examine things. So maybe we want this to be a little bit more, not the sphere, we need the cylinder segment. So we didn't even set this up to be a proper dynamic asset. That is the cylinder, but the no, that is the sphere. The cylinder is right here, and so we never expose this to the input. And I was about to add another group input when really this is big sill verts. So this thing just being at 3 just is just too small. And I see so many people attempting to strip verts. We call this instance. I know I'm not the best at naming stuff, but we're just having fun here. But now you see that I can get in here and we can set up our instance count. We can adjust how many verts is happening in our sphere. In fact, let's enable things so that way we can really peruse. In fact, if I grab this space mouse, we can really just kind of jump around this file as we would like, in perspective, of course. So here, we see that, you know, if needed to, we can get in here and adjust the amount of verts happening here. We can adjust the amount of times that it's being instanced. If we pull back, as well as the distance, which automatically causes it to adjust. However, we may find ourselves needing to either add or subtract on this, so this might need to be exposed as an offset. We'll call it sill offset. And let's see, this one is the distance. We'll put this near the cylinder distance. Alright. And back to our tour. So we're able to adjust the distance. We're able to adjust the cylinder offset if needed, just depending on the type of way we would need this to go. We can choose how many segments. No, this one is how tall it is. My mistake. I'm giving a bad tour here. And then of course we can adjust our thickness, the speed in which it rotates, even going negative to make it rotate negatively however we need, and then the auto smooth angle. So if we change this to like 5, we see that it's out of control. In fact, if we turn off the bevel weight, we get all our performance back. But if everything's getting beveled, it ain't gonna work out for us. So let's just set this to 60, and we want this, instead of to be a float, I don't know, let's just make it an integer. So that way this could be 60, default 60, minimum 2, max 180, 60. All right. And then we have our rotation speed that we can go negative if we want to go the opposite way. So with that, we have created the cylinder core that was being shown here. So I wanted to just do something really basic, not trying to literally plagiarize this game, but I do love it. And with that, I will now get back to it. So thank you, and I'll see you in the next video. So I almost forgot that the rotation of the spheres wasn't perfect, and that was something that I would obsess over normally. So let's get in here and kind of take a look at them. You know, I'm just kind of just spinning around here, and yeah, the rotation isn't just right, and I don't like that. So let's rethink how we did that. We took this up here, and we took a ring and all I wanted to do was delete that one face, and I never deleted that face, and so that was when things just kind of went downhill, right? So let's take a look at this. So is it face neighbors? If we go here, and then we also connect ourselves up here, I'm going to just turn on attribute text so that way I can just take a look at this and just see what our goal was. And we want to look at this for the face. So true, true, true. If the face was equal to, what shape is this? Big silverts. I'm just being random here. This may not even work. For some reason I feel like it should have worked. Let's do math and subtract 1. Okay, let's bring in face neighbors, alright, because I think that's where I went wrong. I have a reading problem, and I was not reading this node right, so we'll look at her. That's what we want to keep. That's what we want to get rid of. So we did the opposite. We want to do greater than. So now we're down to that. Let's just get rid of... Okay, so maybe this part is now important to it. But will it still be important even when we lower and adjust the count? Yes. So we now have this. Let's put our viewer over here, and we can turn off attribute text. You know, when you don't need it, I really feel like this should have information on how to disable viewport stuff whenever and toggling it on. I just think about that a lot. I really think a lot about the viewer. Alright, so what we want to do is take these faces and convert them to points. 2 points. And this is going to make things weird, but we'll make it. So now we have that. Previously we had that. Now we have that. So if we adjust our rotation, which used to work, now I am probably going to have to capture attribute of the face, and we're just going to need to capture the normal and then plug it in, and for some reason that works. So we had to capture the attribute and then give it to it in the future, which now results in us having this being in the correct place. So if we look at this from the top, sharply from the top, there is no offset. So, you know, I didn't want to exit the video with that because, you know, mistakes stick with me. I do hate mistakes. So now that we have that, that means that we can probably mute this. We can mute it, we can control X because we don't need it. And when you don't need it, get rid of it, right? Your garbage, you stick it in the trash. And in that case, yeah, it's garbage. So now we have a superior solution and things just work. So, you know, if we wanted to also wrap this on a good note, you know, also forgot about material, right? Let us set material, and we will just set it to this material. And let's take a look at what that material is. It's just a generic material. In fact, let us shift click on material scroll, and we can actually give that material just a random identity. So jumping out and just kind of jumping over to a later node, we can jump over into render view and just see what we're looking at here. In fact, let us press Alt VV and we can jump to viewports. I'll press V to just turn off the background, so that way we can really look at what we have here. Alright, and let's see, we can that's our strip, and then the second one needs to be this one. That's the second value in our node, at least in my eyes. So we have our strips, we have that. In fact, we can do separate materials as well, so I'm just going to rip that out. So it feels so terrible to say that. Alright, and so we just want to just be unique with the materials. So let's see, all of that? No. Yeah, possibly. But definitely that receiving the first, that and that receiving the same material. In fact, let's find where they are together still, which is here. And we're just having a little fun with our nodes. There we go. Now they're both assigned. No need to do it twice. And for this one, we will create an additional blank material. I'm going to use the helper for this, so that way we can make a material, and then if we click on this, it creates a random blank material inside the node editor. I mean, inside the helper, compared to if we would have done it over here. And we'll just assign material 001, and let's continue dealing with our material assignment. So our cylinders are right here, and if we want to assign them this material, we can do so like this. In fact, we could start shading the inside differently if we wanted to as well, but I'm going to just shift click on material scroll, and we're just scrolling the middle material through random combinations. And let's select the first material, and we'll Alt M and then shift click material scroll, and we'll scroll it through combinations. Just looking for something that's just more you know, light on the eyes, just for this random thing that we're looking at here. In fact, for our cylinder, we probably want to give it a few more verts, but I'm thinking that for the verts of the strip, we probably want to reduce that, because, you know, it's it could be a higher resolution than what we're putting on it. I don't want to have to take the big cylinder verts up to like 64. Instead, I want to subdivide it. So this is our cylinder, and we've done a lot to it. We've interjected on it multiple times. In fact, we're about to do another intersection. You know, this is where it meets up and it changes on its life path. We are going to grab it from here and say, hey kid, you ever heard of subdivision? They're like, no, what's that? Look kid, subdivision, not even once. Edge crease. You know, I was about to just set all this up again, but we can just grab this. Let's just grab this and this. Shift D, duplicate it. We'll just bring it over. And let's, I think there's a different one. Maybe this is it. I just don't feel like it is. It just doesn't seem like it. Okay, it is. Alright, and we see that now we are able to subdivide it while still retaining what we need. So we'll only need to take it up maybe one level, maybe two, maybe one. Alright, we'll take it up one level and, you know, just don't tell anybody. But now it's more rounded, so we can give it more strips and it just gives us a finer result, and, you know, it just receives a little bit of subdivision. You know, if we take it to 8, it just receives a bit of a benefit. So now we are definitely cooking, except that it looks so dark. So Alt VV, B, turn this off, and we have now reached the end of this. So I just wanted to get in and correct the cylinders, maybe assign a few materials, and I mean, we could get in here, put a cylinder around all of this. In fact, I was going to model all this stuff around it too, which I might just come back and do, but I just wanted to get in and just do a quick geometry note exercise just on the initial construction of this shape, at least as far as I see it. But yeah, with that, I'll finally wrap up this video.